in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in New Orleans stays with you forever. On August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina washed over the city of New Orleans and nearly drained its population. The areas of town that were hit hardest include Mid-City, Treme, and the Ninth Ward. The French Quarter, which sits upon the muddy banks of the Mississippi and is the oldest and most well-preserved part of town, remains surprisingly free from harm. Since then, the city has made a valiant effort to rebuild. Local citizens and officials taking a tragedy and turning it into an opportunity to write a new chapter in the city's lush history. As someone that just spent the week there during spring break vacation, believe my words when I say, I saw a future in New Orleans. A future not just for me, but for you and for the rest of our generation. The city today sets an example for the rest of the world that it is possible to lose everything and then gain it back and more. New Orleans is more than just a party town. It is a growing city that offers rich economic and cultural benefits to those willing to live there. Many of us are already familiar with Bourbon Street and Mardi Gras, 10-cent beads and breasts galore. But I would like to introduce greater aspects of New Orleans. Today I will explain to you why New Orleans needs us, why we need New Orleans, and what will happen to us without her. First of all, I want to explain to you why it is so important that this particular city needs our residency. When Hurricane Katrina hit, she nearly ran off the whole population. The most loyal returned, realizing that after living in New Orleans, there was no other place in the world they can be. Ian McNulty, writer of A Season of Night, New Orleans Life After Katrina, quotes in the book, "People don't live in New Orleans because it's easy. They live here because they are incapable of living anywhere else in just the same way." These committed New Orleanians came back to give the city back its soul, but unfortunately, she still lost a third of its body. It is necessary that we fill in that gap. By doing so, we will be able to promote the many different communities of New Orleans. For example, for anyone here that loves film, New Orleans has the most renowned film community of the South and the third largest industry in the country. According to CBS News, New Orleans is the Hollywood South, contributing over $500 million in revenue to the city. In fact, the city made such a great impact on Brad Pitt when he was filming The Curious Case of Benjamin Button that he bought a house there. So by moving to New Orleans, you could actively stalk Brad Pitt. If you're more into sports and the outdoors, then you should know that 1, New Orleans is a huge contributor to Southern football, with LSU an hour away and the massive Mercedes-Benz Superdome within its own realm. And 2, that Louisiana is nicknamed the sportsman's paradise. Fishing, hunting, and golf tournaments are frequently held within city limits. If neither film nor sports interests you, then at least go for the food. I mean, holy cow. There is a different restaurant every 10 feet. It is a cultural hotspot that caters to all bellies and wallet sizes. Mark Twain once quoted, "New Orleans food is as delicious as the less criminal forms of sin," and you better believe it. From the best seafood on the coast to Café du Monde's world-famous taste of heaven while bathing in powdered sugar beignets, you will be asking God, why is gluttony a sin? The last general benefit of the city that needs our support is what I consider its most important trait, the culture. The city is sometimes called the city that cared for God, referring to how carefree the locals are here. Easygoing attitudes surround you and remind you to feel good about living. And walking around the French Quarter is a beautiful experience. You're constantly mazing your way through marching bands, street musicians, painters, photographers, performance artists, and people of all ages. Your view is surrounded by preserved Victorian-style buildings with wrought iron balconies and oversized windows. Gaslight lamps pave the 100-year-old roads that pirates had walked on hundreds of years before. So now you're probably thinking, those are pretty neat benefits, but they don't necessarily satisfy my needs as a graduate student. How am I supposed to make a living in this carefree city? Well, here are some practical means to consider. In 2011, Forbes magazine rated New Orleans as #1 on the list of America's biggest brain magnets, meaning that this was the #1 spot for college graduates. In 2012, Manpower Group, an organization that creates work solutions and tracks city employment, placed New Orleans as the #2 employment market in the country. And Under30CEO.com ranked New Orleans as the top city for young entrepreneurs. What explains this trend in entrepreneurial investment? Well, like I said, the city is still missing a third of its population, and they're focused on attracting fresh new ideas to enhance their local community and economy. In fact, a 2012 economy report placed professional occupations as the largest population sector of the city, beating sales and even service. Many of us are approaching graduation, and the big question is, what's next? Where am I able to contribute? I'm telling you that New Orleans is more than just a party town. It's a place that wants to make your ideas happen. With its stigma stuck on a bad Hurricane Katrina aftertaste and Mardi Gras celebration cliches, people have stopped taking this place seriously. I'm suggesting a revised and serious attitude of New Orleans. The solution I'm proposing is drastic, yes, but not impractical. And as I've mentioned, there are a great many reasons to move here. Our generation needs to invest in something new. Our lives need prosperous environments. By moving to New Orleans, you are spreading diversity, intelligence, and you are strengthening a part of American culture. Consider this. Cities like New York, Boston, Seattle, and Los Angeles are overcrowded. And unless you already have a job lined up, it can be very difficult to find something. Wouldn't it be nice starting off in a smaller city first, especially as one as friendly as New Orleans? And also, New Orleans is affordable for us. She ranks 3% lower than the national average in terms of the cost of living, whereas New York is 118% above average. I know many of us have loans to pay off, so it is important that we don't overburden ourselves after we graduate. And considering the pressure of the national economy, we must consider practical means. In New Orleans, you get a low cost of living with a high quality of life. That's not just economical profit, that's life profit. In order for New Orleans to become a reality, we must recognize the practicality that these bonuses offer. So again, I insist that you strongly consider moving to New Orleans. I would hate to pass you by on a beautiful day and see you without a smile on your face because you lack the joy found in everyday life. I would hate to see you years down the line, disgruntled and hardened by life because you didn't give New Orleans a chance. It would just upset me so, because I told you so. In summation, I hope that my words have painted a beautiful image of New Orleans and that you feel compelled to move there. Whether it is for the opportunities, the lifestyle, or for all the food you will never stop eating. Is New Orleans a crazy city? Yes. But if you drink a few less hand grenades, you'll be able to remember the things that make it fun and enriching and beneficial. I am not from New Orleans, but I do feel deeply about the city. My argument today appeals to all those who love community, love experience, and love life. I implore you to choose a satiated lifestyle and join the fighting spirit of New Orleans.